Boom.
All right. Well, I'd like to go ahead and call the Monday, May 20th, 2019 Rockland Fire Protection District meeting to order at 5 p.m.
And we'll just note at the outset, there's going to be some changes to the agenda. This morning at 8 o'clock, Justice Mitchell Hoffman of the Circuit Court of Lake County in Waukegan administered the oath of office to the 3 trustees who were elected to that position in April. The 3 ladies and gentlemen you see sitting next to me. So, effective with the administration of that oath and with today's date, they are now the Board of Trustees. So what I posted, judges have a way of changing plans, so we have that. So we now have Marcin Malinowski as a trustee, was elected for a 6-year term. His trustee Amy Bernstein was elected for a 4-year term, and David Anderson elected for a 2-year term. They are the 3 trustees, and we will so note their presence along with Chief Siebert. Tammy Bryan has resigned, she's gone, and myself. With that, the next step I suggest we take after number 1, where we do the call to order and amend the roll call as noted, is move number 4, which is the seating of officers we've just done, and number 5, the election of officers, up to right after roll call, because we need somebody to preside over this meeting, and that would be the board president. So with that, just for the board, because you may not know, there are 3 officers that the district has. One is the board president, who serves as the chief presiding officer of meetings and the chief executive. The second is the secretary, who's the record keeper, the note keeper, keeper of records for the district. The last is the treasurer. The treasurer is kind of an unusual position. While the president and the secretary have to be a trustee, the treasurer may be either a trustee or a resident of the district. It doesn't have to be a trustee, but it does have, if not a trustee, then it has to be a resident of the district. So you have some options there. Installation is by a simple vote of the 3 of you, and you can do it individually or you can do it as a slate, however you would prefer doing that.
Okay, go ahead and nominate Amy Bernstein for secretary.
Okay. Okay, so if you want to do trustee Malinowski nominates trustee Bernstein as secretary, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Anderson, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You can vote. You can vote no, but the 2 win anyway, so. Okay. So we have the secretary, that's easy. Now we'll go to the next one, president. Do we have a nomination for president?
Yes, Marcin Malinowski.
Trustee Anderson nominates trustee Malinowski. Do we have a second?
And then they can send that back to us. We are then able to rebalance those cuts amongst the funds if we needed to, and then so in April it gets certified. That's what they call the extension, and then we get our first payment in May, and we will get payments throughout the year. And in general, we're this year about $650,000. So that's the revenue side. On the expenditure side, being a unit of local government, you're not allowed to spend any funds that are not budgeted and appropriated. So the law allows us to, or requires us, I should really say, that the appropriation ordinance has to be passed before the end of the first quarter, so before the end of July. Okay, so we'll have to work backwards on this. So what we would typically do is we would pass that ordinance at the July meeting, and then Brian would file it with the county. Before you can pass the ordinance, though, you have to have a public hearing. And typically what we would do is have the public hearing at the same meeting that we pass the ordinance, but just do it first. But in order to have the public hearing, you have to post a preliminary budget and publish a notice in the newspaper that budget is posted, just taped to the door, and that the public meeting will occur at the date and time given, and that has to be done 30 days before. So in most years, what we would typically do is in June, at the June meeting, the treasurer would walk you through the preliminary budget. You go, oh, that's great, and do it. This year, you can't do that. I think it was true last year, because there's not 30 days between the two meetings. So we can do one of two things. We can either have the meeting where we have the public hearing and pass the ordinance as a special meeting a little later than the July meeting. Or, and Brian, I believe this is okay, we can actually post and publish the notice prior to the June meeting.
Correct.
Right, I think we did that last year because it's the same thing. It wasn't 30 days. Next year it will be 30 days, but it's just, is that better? So the other thing is, I will be out of the country from June 3rd through June 13th, so I will not be here for the June meeting, but I will be more than happy to get the preliminary budget done. It should be very, very straightforward. As Brian has pointed out many times, that the preliminary budget doesn't technically have to bear any resemblance to the real budget. We've been very diligent over the last few years in that they were virtually identical. But our budget should be fairly straightforward this year because the operation, you pay the bill for the operation, so there's a lot less variability in that. So it should be very straightforward. But I can get that done and get that out to you all before I leave. And then just instruct Brian to go ahead and you create the legal notice that has to go to the paper, and if you don't have it, I can send you our account number.
In fact,
for the
that would help. That I don't have your account number.
Yeah, I can send you the account number, and that way we're going to take care. And then at the July meeting, we'll go through it. And the treasurer will usually present it and walk you through it. The public hearing, I said, is you open the public hearing, people can make comments, and then you close the public hearing, and then you vote on the ordinance, and then you're good to go. And then the other financial items, then so that's the end of the first quarter. By the end of the second quarter, you have to do there are two reports. There's the comptroller's annual financial report, which is quite a bear to do, but we've got it down to a science now. And then there's a report that has to go to the county on disbursements and revenues. So, and then you start in November. You do the truth in taxation, which basically says if you're not going to raise your levy more than 5%, you just certify that. Otherwise, you have to have another public hearing. And then in December, you do the levy.
Okay.
So that's kind of the
we'll be here to help.
fiscal year.
It's just understand. While there's a lot of craziness going on, it's a lot of important craziness going on. No budget appropriations, no spending, no levy, no money to spend. So but he's been down this path. I've been down this path. We'll help him.
So we need a motion to post. What needs to be? What was it again? It needs to be posted in June for the July meeting.
Just a preliminary, but I don't think you need to.
I don't think you need a motion.
The law requires you to throw it up on the website.
Right, the law requires you to have that available for public inspection at least 30 days prior to the hearing. And if we get it done, but it's a draft.
Yeah. So, but the hearing's in July.
Correct. And I'll do the notice. The notice, it's very pro forma. I mean, the language of the notice is the notice.
Okay.
The only thing I don't have, we have an account with them. We use the Lake County News Sun. It's the Tribune now, but it's Lake County News Sun. They're the only game in town, and it's easy. You send them an email saying do this, and give them enough notice, and it's done.
Yeah, I'll send you our account number so that you can just have it billed to us.
Yeah. If you just give, I guess, a consensus of the board for the treasurer and the attorney to proceed with the preparation of financial documents for board approval.
Yes.
As discussed. How do you like that?
I like that.
Okay. Number 12 is yours, sir.
Okay. So I asked to have number 12 added on here, discussion possible action regarding sale of the Rockland Fire Protection District building. Seeing that the buyer is not present and has not been present the past couple of meetings, I would like to ask. Yeah.
He called me.
Oh, okay. I should have asked you other info
Oh, yes.
regarding some. So let's start there.
He called me last Friday, Thursday, I don't remember. Time flies when you're having fun. He called me either Thursday or Friday last week, saying he had been contacted by the former board about the possibility of having a special meeting on Saturday to approve the contract. I hadn't talked to him at all before that. I still haven't talked to his attorney. And he understands, like I understand, that you don't get there, you know, a bid is a bid. It's not a contract. And I have begun talking with his attorney about contract. And we've talked about some of the things that were in the resolution that need to be in the contract. He's interested in, you know, he's still interested in pursuing this, but he was concerned about a special meeting on Saturday or earlier on Monday, and
Just this past weekend prior to us.
yeah, and I kind of put the kibosh on that because I said, look, the Board of Trustees, you officially took office today. The fact you were sworn in at 8 o'clock doesn't alter the fact that the law says your term of office begins on the 3rd Monday on the month after your election. So the old board was out. Whether you were sworn in or not, the old board was out with authority. So I said there was going to be no meeting on Monday. And it was on Thursday because I said you can't make a 48-hour rule, 48-hour notice meeting with Open Meetings Act if it's Thursday at, geez, I want to say it was like 2:30 or 3. I said, not going to happen. So I said, can't do that. That kind of shut that down. I mean, he's still interested. I told him, I said, have your attorney, I mean, if your attorney's interested in this, you know, we need to reduce this bid into, just like it said in the resolution, into the standard real estate contract form. And there's some one-offs here that are gonna make it a little more exciting. This, we want to retain use of a room for our stuff, and we want to be able to retain use of this, you know, for meetings and, you know, for some period of time, So there's some one-offs that we're gonna have to work into this. But I said, have your guy call me, you know. And he said he would, but I had, like I said, that was Thursday. So it's not a dead issue. There's still a bid that was accepted by the board that's hanging up there, but the ball is kind of in, I need his attorney to call me so we can start this process. Ultimately, if we can come to some sort of agreement on a contract, I have to bring that contract back to the board for approval, because a bid is not a contract. A lot of different things in there. Like, it's the closing date, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So, it's not a dead item. I think this is going to be on the agenda for a while. He had 2 weeks to contact me. The guy hasn't contacted me. After the meeting, I handed the guy my card twice. He dropped it once, and I had to pick it up and give it to him again. So it's not like we haven't been talking. He also has now both my office and my cell phone number. If I give you my cell phone number, don't share it with me. Tell me that does not really make me happy. But it, you know, but it's still there.
Okay.
So we'll
yeah,
see.
I don't know what the previous board's rush was to do something, try to do something like that fly by night. I honestly would like to see it be put on hold till this current board can review, you know, that contract and the bid and that whole process.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, yeah, so I don't know if I need a motion for that, or we just kind of continue talking about it for foreseeable future.
The next real action would occur if and when we, me and the attorney for Clusian, get to the point of having what we think is a contract for the board's consideration. Now, the bidding documents are somewhat in the files. I mean, they are what they are. That's there. The process followed, section 10B, and that was all. Dot the i's, cross the t's. But the reducing a bid which only covers the barest essential of terms into a contract which covers, real estate contract covers a nitnoid of terms. And with your one-offs of we need to have the room and the tower, access to that tower, thank you for pointing that out, access to that tower for the emergency notification for some period of time, we're gonna have to work through that. Once I get to the point where I think we have a document that, if I say reasonably final form for the board's consideration, we'll get it to you. Until you have a contract, you got nothing. Nothing's happening.
Okay.
So this will be on there for a while.
All right. Well, I think that's it. You guys have any other comments regarding 12?
No, you just have to wait and see what comes across the
No.
desk.
Well, being a special meeting, Brian, I think we've run out of agenda items.
I told Mark Marson, just for the other two, I told
Yeah.
Mark, there's a big difference. This is a special meeting. You can have regular meetings. At a regular meeting, you can talk and act on things on the agenda. I mean, assume the agenda says act on it.
Mhm.
You can talk and act on it. At a regular meeting, if there's something that you want to talk about that's not on the agenda, you can bring it up for discussion only. Regular. Special meetings are different. Special meetings, you can only talk about or possibly act things on the agenda, period. Nothing more. So, sorry, that's the rules,
Yeah.
And I guess the real thing is, if there was a crisis that something came up, I mean, it wasn't a true emergency, you just call another special meeting. So that's why. I mean, we're out of agenda items, so the last item on the agenda is adjournment
Make a motion to adjourn?
at
At
5:48.
5:48. I'll second.
And then, all in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Nobody ever votes no on that. I was trying to get you guys.
Cross my mind.
You're adjourned.
All right. Thank you.